So how important is actually journey?
I think it's so important, and you just have to learn to accept it and just be happy with everything that happens along the way. Trust the process. Because I remember looking back 2 years ago, I was like, wow, it'd be amazing if we could do $1 million. And then it's like, oh, well, it would be really amazing if we could do 10 million. Like, I would just be so satisfied with that. But now I'm kind of like, nah, 100 million. Like, that's what we're going for.
Get change.
Traci Chen, I got a lawyer in the house today, which I'm excited. You started your law firm 2 years ago.
Yep.
And you went from yourself to 37 staff today.
Yes.
That's absolutely incredible. And specialty of the law firm at the moment is migration. That might change in the future. Tell us, who is Traci?
Who is Traci? So I am from China originally. I was born in China.
Yes.
I came here when I was 2 years old. Parents are first-generation immigrants. My parents are very, very well educated. But as you know, when they came here, it was very difficult with them, the language barriers.
Yes.
So, my dad has a bachelor, 2 masters and a PhD, but he worked in a factory his whole life.
Yes, he couldn't really use his degrees that he had in China, in Australia, obviously.
Well, no, he actually did his masters and PhDs in Australia.
Right.
Yeah. But I think it's very difficult. You think that migrants are actually, very daring in a way, but at the same time, they're not.
Yes.
They took the big leap to come to Australia, but then after that, they didn't take as many risks as I thought they would.
Yes.
And, so for me...
But you're catching up.
Yes. So me, that was my biggest drive.
Yes.
To be able to give them the life they really deserve.
Yes.
I went into law school. Maybe I had thought about becoming a doctor and maybe a dentist, but for me, I'm not very good with the blood and all of that, the blood and gore and all that. So law was a way to go. Went through law school, had my businesses, the solar panel business when it was booming. And then I had to really focus on law school, so I stopped doing that. And then as I finished law school, I worked for law firms and I fell into migration.
Yes.
I mean, when you're in law school, you kind of think about, I want to become a criminal lawyer because it sounds so cool, or even commercial law because you watch Suits and all of that.
Yes,
but I fell into immigration. Yes, my favorite. And Boston Legal.
Yes.
And so I always thought I was going to be a commercial lawyer or a criminal lawyer.
Yes.
But then fell into migration, and I realized it's something I understood very quickly, and I could relate to the clients.
Yes.
So it was very easy for me to kind of connect.
Yes.
And kind of understand what they're really looking for and what this actually means to them.
Yes.
So I continued working in a couple of different law firms, changing here and there. At the end of 2019, I started working in like a more global law firm. And then, everything happened at the beginning of 2020. Yes. They were very heavy on corporate immigration. So they helped businesses in Australia recruit from overseas and bring them over. Yes. But obviously with everything that happened with the borders, that stopped.
Yes.
So I was let go in about, I think it was May or June 2020.
Which is probably the best thing that have happened to you, because maybe you wouldn't be where you are today.
No, that's right. Absolutely. So what happened was I was able to line up another job. It was a commercial firm, and they had always thought about starting immigration. So they gave me a job, but it was only part-time.
Yes.
And they said to me, okay, you need to bring in your own clients.
Yes.
I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a go. And at that time, that was when I started seeing TV ads on TikTok.
Yes.
And I was like, this is kind of cool. And I started scrolling on TikTok, and everyone's like, if you're a small business, you need to get onto here and do all of that. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. But at that time, I wasn't going to do it for the law. I looked in, my partner is a doctor, and at that time, he couldn't source medical scrubs. Yes. There was a huge delay in it. It was like we ordered scrubs, and it was like an 8-week delay. I was like, it can't be this hard. So I went online and I looked at, how we can get medical scrubs, and I've worked that out. I thought, okay, I'm going to market this on TikTok. But before the stock comes, I have to practice, right? Yes. So then I started practicing with the law.
Yes.
It's because it was the only thing that I knew. I knew how to talk about every single day, and I could just practice with it. That started taking off. And by the time the scrubs arrived, it takes like 6 or 8 weeks to arrive. So by then I was already like 30,000 followers deep into TikTok, and that started growing. That was sort of the law stuff. Started continuing on with working in that firm, doing my TikToks, a lot of work was coming into the firm, and then also doing the scrub it up and just running that, because they still only had me on part-time at that time. And then opportunities started to come for the law. So, media started reaching out to me. people wanting to do interviews and all that, but they were against it, the law firm.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately. They just, I don't know why, but, a couple of times ABC wanted to interview us, wanted to come through the firm.
Yes.
They didn't want to, do that. And then it just got to a point where I was like, okay, well, this is a lot bigger than, than I thought it would be. So maybe I should start my own.
Yes.
And at that time, that's how we got to where we are today. I just continued to do my marketing.
Yes.
Not marketing as such, continue to do my videos.
Yes.
Continue to train lawyers, legal assistants, and grow up to where we are today.
Yes.
It got to a point where I couldn't keep running Scrubber Duck and also the law firm, so I exited out of Scrubber Duck, and now all my time is devoted to that essentially now.
Big decision, being employed by somebody else and saying, hey, I'm starting my own business. Was that scary for you to actually make that transition from working for somebody else? There is a safety, but I decided to run my own show and be really boss of my own journey.
Yeah, I think a little bit, but I think I've had experience with that before. And once you do it once and you realize, oh, I can do this, you'll be able to keep doing it again and do it on a larger scale as well. So yes, but I think because all of my training prior, when I got used to kind of taking risks, it was an easier decision for me. And
which is interesting. Obviously, running any business is not easy. It's challenging.
Absolutely.
But within 2 years from starting your business, I think you were very clever taking advantage of all of the marketing platforms that we actually have ability to mark ourselves on. You really took that, because a lot of law firms, accounting firms, I call them, they're really boring in a way from advertising, from marketing as well. But you straight away jumped on social media, TikTok, Instagram, so you took advantage of, where not many other law firms are actually putting the energy.
Yes. And I think people are scared to start because they are scared of what people think.
Yes.
And people are always going to say things about you. So who cares, essentially. When they look at you, 1 year later and you've got 40 people and they've got, they're still at 3, they're going to be looking at you and it's going to be very different.
But they'll be behind. It'll be harder for them to actually pick up where you are today.
Yes.
What would you say is was and is the hardest thing when it comes to starting your business?
I think when you're starting your business is just trusting the process. You let all these outside things worrying you, like, oh, this won't work. What if that fails? But you've just got to trust the process. Yes. I think that's the one thing that weighs on your mind a little bit. But then every time you have a bit of hiccups here and there, but it always does work out. So why do we doubt ourselves?
Yes.
But it always happens because you're always here, and having Asian parents and people around you, they're kind of like, oh, business is risky. You've got to be careful. Why can't you just get a job in a law firm and, do all that? Yeah.
Well, they are right in a way, because if you are working for somebody else, the risk factor is almost at zero. You just have to make sure that you show up, do a great job, and then you get paid. But you're obviously not going to have the same outcome like you are having by running your own show. So starting a law firm, again, you had a choice to have a slow growth.
Yeah.
Because most people in general with their businesses, if they are starting, for example, law firm, they will start on their own. Next year, they might hire 1 more staff. Year after that, they might hire 2 more staff.
Yeah.
You decided to conquer the world. You're just about to hit 40 staff within 2 years. Managing growth, what challenges do you normally see there that you can overcome? Because for start, you have to make sure that you create or generate enough work for the team. 1, 2, wages need to be paid. Challenges are there. How do you overcome those challenges?
I think you have to take every day, day by day.
Yes.
To be honest, people are like, wow, you've grown from 0 to 40 so quickly. But to be honest, I think I'm actually being quite cautious in that, so conservative in that, because right now, through our marketing, we get 300 leads a day. So no matter how many lawyers I'm putting on at the moment, it actually doesn't satisfy the amount of leads and queries we actually get. Yes. So I actually think I'm actually being quite conservative, actually. Yes. But people don't think that because you're like, wow, you put 40 people on the payroll in 2 years.
But you're also generating enough work that supports that, I'm guessing.
Yes. And then I think the growth part is really interesting, because I think at the beginning it's just you. So you're kind of generating $100,000. If you show up, you will generate $100,000. Then when you get to $1 million, you're kind of like, all right, I need to put systems and processes in place to kind of continue that growth and support that growth essentially as well. And then when you're trying to get to 1 million to 10 million, it's no longer about you. It's about your employees and how you're going to empower them to be the best version of themselves.
And I guess that's when systems and processes are so crucial as well, because just to run a team of almost 40 people, that's starting to be a larger scale business as well. So systems and processes and being organized, it becomes so crucial.
So important. But also empowering the people, I think that's so important. Like you don't realize that until you're like, okay, how can I, empower this person so that they can take on this role as team leader or whatever it is.
Because look, I think traditionally, I was speaking to my uncle a couple of years ago, and he has worked for the same company for 47 years.
Yes.
So first job, he started in that company till the day that he retired, worked same business. These days, it's very hard to find employees or somebody that has worked for the same company for 10 years. So I think us as a business owners have to understand the times that we are living in, and we have to offer from culture is very good, very important as well. You want to make sure that, I always say I have to make sure that people within my business are, we're creating that fun environment where I want them to come to work instead of, they're just coming to work for the heck of it and they can get their pay.
That's right.
Because people don't realize that 80% of your day while you are awake is about work. I'm just taking myself as an example. I wake up in the morning, I'm getting ready to go to work. Then you spend half an hour to 1 hour in traffic going to work. And you work all day. You come home 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you're really awake for 2-3 hours maximum before you pass out again, and then you're sleeping. So while you're awake, that 80% of your day, everything is about work. So it is crucial that employees or us as a business owners create that environment where people feel like, what, if I'm spending 80% of my time while I'm awake, at least I'm spending it in a place where I want to be, and that is a challenge for a lot of people that, I guess old school in a way, that they're not seeing what's working today. In this office for One Life Club, there's a music playing all day.
Yeah.
Traditionally, traditionally there's like no music, in a corporate world.
Yeah.
It's very serious. Normally in corporate world, people, have to be dressed in suits. Our teams are dressed anyway. Obviously you want them to be presentable when they're meeting people, but at the same time, if employing 10 IT guys, they don't have to wear suits because that's not generation today. So I think just moving ahead with time is so freaking crucial, because it's so hard to find good employees.
Yeah.
So when we find them, we gotta,
work out how to keep them, essentially. And that is one of my biggest challenges as well, is when you identify your A-team players and you're kind of like, all right, how do I keep them on? And, how do I keep them on for a long time as well?
Yes.
So that's one of the things that I'm trying to work on every single day. We're testing all different sorts of things. And the thing you just mentioned about, people working and then, only being awake for 2-3 hours before they do it all over again, we're in a different age. People don't want that anymore.
Yes.
They want to have a life. They want to do different things. They want to work, but they don't want to do those hours because they want to do all those things at retirement now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Everybody wants everything today.
Yeah.
And not many people are willing to pay the price for them to be where you are today as well. Looking back, you started a couple of businesses, exited from some of them, started a law firm, almost 40 staff. Looking back, what advice would you give yourself? What advice would you give 20 years old Traci?
So I was at a stage where I kind of thought, I want all of this now as well. But some advice I would give is it actually takes a lot shorter than you think. Yes. So when you're at the start of the journey, you expect to see results in 2 months' time, and you think, oh, this is going to take 2 years, it's too hard, and you kind of give up. But then when you you keep working every single day and you're at that 2 years later and you look back, you wouldn't have even imagined that you are where you are today.
Yes.
No way. It's a lot shorter than you actually think.
And you know what? It is when you put work into it. So everything, I always say, what we put in, that's what we're going to get out. So one thing that I always keep telling people that today is the day that you never lived before. And when this day is finished, we are one day closer to our ultimate destination, which is us being dead.
Yes.
So it's very crucial we don't waste the day. When you're being so active or proactive, I guess, when it comes to using the day with whatever you're doing, you'll be very freaking surprised how much you can actually get out of your time. Talk about, any business is same when it comes to growing it. Marketing is very crucial.
So important. It is everything.
It is everything.
I look at everything and I'm like, wow, marketing is everything.
You can employ 40 people.
Yep.
You can employ 40 people, but if you don't generate work, business will go down very quickly. What is the secret to marketing any business today?
The one thing is that you have to know your audience. So you can be a law firm and you can hire someone to do your marketing for you, but you may not get the same results because they don't know your audience. They're just a marketing firm. And I found that with other businesses I worked in as well. I thought, I just post pretty pictures on Instagram all day and I'll be able to generate business. But it doesn't work like that because yes, now short videos are, the way to go with reels and all of that. But you really have to understand how to hook them on in the first, few seconds. So you have to understand the audience. So a lot of the time, if you are the CEO, maybe your time is best spent on that.
Yes.
Essentially, because you are the only one that truly knows the audience, and it takes time to do it as well. Before, I was posting 2-3 times a day just to practice. And when you practice, you understand what works, what the audience are looking for, and you look at the comments as well, and you get that feedback from there as well.
Which is interesting because you are very active on social media. A lot of people are shy.
Yes.
They're afraid.
Yes.
Start of this conversation, you said that a lot of people are, they feel, I guess they're afraid to be judged because you're always going to have people that are loving what you're doing, people that are, not so supportive. So I think that fear of breaking into the real world and saying, hey, my name is Traci, this is what I'm doing, there's no more privacy there whatsoever because a lot of people, they just like their normal life where they're not so much out there, but social media is so exposed.
Yes.
So, but you taking full advantage of it.
Yeah, and it's just purely from what it's more about, the content I'm putting out for the audience in relation to migration. You don't necessarily have to share your life. People think, I'm on social media, I'm exposing everything to everyone. I don't share much of my personal life. I'm active on social media every single day. I'm posting content that's relevant to them. I don't have to share what's really going on.
Value as well, so they can actually benefit from that.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what social media really is. You don't have to go out there and tell them what you're doing all the time, what you own and all of that.
Yes.
You just make the content that they want to see and you just make it in a way that they understand, and that's it. And that's all you have to do.
Talk of migration. How hard it is to come to Australia? Because I think we are living in one of the nicest countries in the world. I have traveled the world, and I was born in Europe, in a little country in the middle of Europe, and so so with me, a lot of people think I would be biased, and I would say, hey, my favorite country is Croatia, but I always say it's beautiful to go to Croatia, it's beautiful to travel all around the world, but actually living here. First of all, it's very peaceful. I feel like that, our economy is strong. It's very structured as well, but there's so much potential for anybody that wants to do well. This country is really offering everything on the table. You know what, 100%. You're going to do well, and if you want to give it a go for it.
That's right. It's the best country in the world. I traveled to Asia. You're like, oh my God, it's so fun. It's so cheap, everything. But when you're there, you're like, and you come back, you're like, wow, Australia's just the best country in the world.
It is.
The best.
So how hard is it for people to actually come here?
So as you may have heard recently, the government's always got articles about, how there's a huge skills shortage at the moment. And there really is. I don't really know why there's a skills shortage. Like, where has everybody gone? Everyone's still in Australia. So where is everyone?
Which is really crazy because 3-4 years ago, or 5 years ago, it was a lot easier to hire people. Now, all of our business owners, we're struggling.
Yes, that's right. So there's two ways. So one is we do corporate immigration. So we help businesses place the candidate. So for example, you're looking for a real estate agent maybe, or you're looking for a receptionist or maybe even a manager. We will help you recruit someone who's qualified overseas. That will help them secure the visa, and they will come work for you. They will have a temporary visa and they can stay here permanently. The second option is through independent skilled migration, which in the last year, they've increased the migration cap for it because I think Australia just needs more skilled workers.
Yes.
So if you're someone who's got, a bachelor degree, has a professional occupation such as mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, ICT business analyst, if you can score enough points and make an expression of interest to apply in Australia, you'll get invited to apply for your permanent residency.
Yes.
And it's been so active over the last, I would say 18 months.
Yes.
So active ever since. It's very interesting since I became a migration lawyer in 2017. I've never actually been a migration lawyer under the Labor government.
Yes.
It's always been Liberal. And so since the Labor government came in place, I've never seen it like this before.
Right.
It's crazy.
So for you, Labor government is working well.
Yeah, I never knew, but it's actually working really, really well. So migration is going crazy at the moment. And then I think more and more countries are looking to migrate here. So Southeast Asia, people growing up there, they understand migration and it's something that they do think about. However, I'm noticing that more from Europe now, for example, the US. People in the US, they grow up, USA is the best country in the world. They've never thought about migration.
Yes.
But everything that's happening recently and when they look further, what they want for their children, they're actually thinking about migration now.
Yes.
And I realize that the US is just an untapped, market essentially there. Yeah.
Yes. And that's not, normally, which is interesting because, even last night I was watching a documentary about American Dream.
Yes.
So people are normally having America as a first choice when it comes to going. Do you think Australia is that at the moment?
Yes, it's the Australian dream now.
Australian dream now.
It's the Australian dream.
I think we are very lucky and blessed, to be honest, to be living here. What is next for Traci? I mean, you're young.
Oh, well,
You're young.
I'm 33.
That 33 is a freaking very young. So you're young. Your business is young. You're growing yourself. How do you see yourself as a being more different person from, I guess, starting business, starting any business? I always say 1 year running your own business, you kind of age 200 years.
Yeah.
Because when you're working for somebody, you just have you to look after.
Yeah.
Now you have 37 people to look after.
Yes.
How do you think yourself has changed through that process?
I've grown a lot. You don't become a person.
You got no choice.
You got no choice. You don't become a person with 40 employees if you're the same person who you were when you had no employees. No way.
Yes.
You're definitely a different person. So I've grown so much and I'm so grateful for the journey essentially as well. I think the journey, you don't realize, so when you are 0 to 40, you're at a very different bracket in general. And so you kind of at a stage where you're like, all right, who do I have on this journey with me?
Yes.
And that's something, it's lonely. When people say entrepreneurs are lonely, it's a very, very lonely journey because when you do get there, who do you share it with? And what do you say? Yeah, I bought a Lamborghini today or whatever. Sounds silly because, they're not there. Your friends are the same age or you may not be there essentially.
Yes.
So for me, right now, I'm looking at my teammate players and I'm kind of like, all right, who can I take along this journey with me?
Yes.
I asked the question when we were at the last, presentation with Simon. I said, would you offer your employees shareholding?
Yes. That was you. I remember
Yes, that was me.
Yes.
Yep. Yes. I asked that question and he said, yes. I mean, I'm not saying it's a huge percentage, but I think it'd be very amazing. And he said that it would be very amazing to just have those people to bring with you on the journey.
Yes.
And I think that's something that I am more interested now. The money, the whatever, that's all very nice. The Birkins, all that's all very nice. But to be able to share that journey with people and then end up there, I think that would just be, incredible.
But I think that's also skill that you have as well to discover the talent and, hold them and offer them whatever you think will suit them for them to be alongside of your journey as well.
Yes.
And I think the weakness that a lot of employees, a lot of employers, I guess, make, they don't actually focus on encouraging people to do better and then discovering their talent and say, you know what, let me help you grow. Maybe actually be good to be part of this business, part of my business as well, so we can actually grow together instead of potentially losing them.
That's right.
So, it's not so easy to gain great stuff.
Yes, absolutely. There is something else I'm kind of working on at the moment, which I wanted to see what you think as well. So as I mentioned before, with just US in general, they never thought about migrating.
Yes.
So I thought about, building courses where it's like, because a lot of people, they come and consult you, they already have an understanding of migration. They just need to
Yes.
know the right direction. But with courses, it's more like, all right, how do I go from 0 to 100?
Yes.
I know nothing about migration. I need to know the absolute basics. So I was thinking, I'm currently building courses.
I think it's a fantastic
Yeah?
idea because people are not educated.
Yes, especially
what
the
I
market
mean?
that never thought about migrating before.
Correct. Well, I think in any market, full stop. So I think the course is just for people to actually, because it's a process getting to that stage. Okay, you know what? Anybody that lives in America or Asia or Europe who wants to come to Australia, first of all, it's a huge decision for them to make.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, let's say America, they have their lives there, their friends, kids could be going to the school or whatever it is. So for them to actually make a decision to go to another country, leave everything behind, it's probably the biggest decision they're ever gonna make. So educating them by the process for them to actually understand, I think that it's a brilliant idea because you have to ask yourself, how many other law firms are doing that?
None. And you can't hire enough lawyers to get to that kind of market cap as well.
Correct. So, educating people and, yourself, I guess, your company, when it comes to educating people as well. And if they do decide to actually go and take that step, first person they're going to be calling would be your law firm.
Yes.
Because they feel like they've already been on the journey with you by learning how they can actually come here.
Yes.
Which is, you're fascinating because you are constantly thinking how to also take your business to another level.
Yes.
I think we are living in a very dangerous and very amazing times when it comes to growing any business. Because think about this, 40 years ago, how do you market anything? It would be a newspaper or TV, really. There was not much choices. But a lot of people are still stuck with that mentality. Business will come our way, but you are constantly adapting to what's relevant to lives that we are living in today, which is fantastic.
Yeah, because a couple of years ago, a law firm would open in a suburb and they only service clients in that suburb.
Yes.
But when when COVID hit, everything changed. You could do Zooms online, you could hire people from different states and everything. Everything changed about the business. And so your audience is bigger.
Country.
Yeah.
Because there's a very good chance that, a lot of your clients, you don't even have to physically ever see them because everything is really online.
I've probably never seen most of my clients. Only on Zoom.
Only on Zoom?
Yeah.
So at the moment, business is based in Brisbane.
Business is actually based in Melbourne. I was originally in Melbourne.
Right.
Yes, and I came here at the beginning of 2022 because my partner had to start a traineeship here.
Right.
So, and the business was 100% online. Everyone's 100% remote work from home. We don't have a physical office, essentially.
That's interesting. Which is interesting because, this is, even myself, I employ a couple of hundred people across all of our companies. And traditionally, even myself, you gotta come to office, whatever time, and I always wanted to see staff in the office. While life these days, everything is completely changing. So from a lot of employees, they want to work from home. So I think, there's so many factors. One, you running your own business is so much more cost effective. You can actually, if you want to hire space in the middle of the CBD for 40 people, there's a good chance you'd be paying $500,000 a year just in rent. But now you can actually utilize that money and spend it on the marketing and really have so much work for your team. But then again, also traditionally old-fashioned business people, and I could be one of them, we had to get used to trusting our employees that they can do the right thing from home without me seeing them.
Yeah.
How did you adjust yourself with that?
I think when you offer work from home, you start to attract the best because the best are always looking for, best place to work and the freedom. So you are attracting 18 players. That's the first thing. And you just really have to trust them in that process. If they want to maintain their job and they want to maintain a job that's work from home, they're going to, give you the results that they need.
Yes.
Yeah, but you are attracting 18 players, and that's what I realized. That's why I realized, wow, you're coming from such a big firm. Why do you want to come work for us?
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, you, whatever. And then they're like, I want to work from home. And they want to move to the suburbs, like really far out.
So to them, doesn't matter.
No. Yeah.
Which is really, you're from scaling up fast, 1 to 40 staff almost, to really you operate all over Australia now, remotely.
Yep.
really no head office with 40 staff in it. So you're really taking advantage of the times that we are living in today.
Yeah.
How many businesses do you think will be left behind?
Well, I think a lot of law firms are, essentially, especially if they're losing some of their best employees to law firms that offer work from home and more flexibility, I think, they're going to, really, experience that, how much is it going to affect them essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Starting your own law firm, you had to wear every hat.
Yes.
You had to be a lawyer. You had to be a business owner.
Yeah.
You had to be an admin person. You have to be everything on start. 2 years into it, having a larger company, what part of business do you enjoy the most? Do you still enjoy being a lawyer, or do you actually enjoy more running the business?
I enjoy running the business and seeing everybody's growth.
Yes.
When you hire someone when you knew they had potential, and then 6 months later they tick every single box and they have actually exceeded your expectations, that is so rewarding.
Yes.
That's probably the most rewarding thing for myself.
What's 10 years ahead looking for you?
Hopefully we can be a global immigration firm, global firm, and really be able to provide all services across migration. So whether it be recruitment, relocating, schools, all of that.
So nothing is really stopping.
Yeah.
You're clearly enjoying the journey.
Yeah, I think so.
How important is the journey? Because
So
a lot of people, a lot of younger people, and you're still extremely young yourself, a lot of younger people, they're only focused on, if I start my own business today, I'm going to spend 10, 20 years working really hard, and then I'm going to start enjoying life. By that time, they can be dead, So how important is actually journey?
I think it's so important, and you just have to learn to accept it and just be happy with everything that happens along the way. Trust the process. Because I remember looking back 2 years ago, I was like, wow, it'd be amazing if we could do $1 million. And then it's like, oh, well, it would be really amazing if we could do 10 million. Like, I would just be so satisfied with that. But now I'm kind of like, nah, 100 million. Like, that's what we're going for.
Yes.
And it's because I just, you learn to enjoy the process, you enjoy the journey, and you realize, I can just keep going and keep going.
Yes. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it if you're not going to enjoy every single day?
Absolutely. Be grateful.
If you had to start your journey again at age 20, would you do exactly the same thing like you're doing today?
Yes, I would. Yeah. I think I've taken a lot of the right steps. I can't say every single step is right, but I think I've taken a lot of the right steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal story because, it's not easy to run a business.
No.
What do you think would be the hardest thing in general about running business?
Is the person you have to grow to be every single day, I think. Like you think, oh, if I just keep doing this, you'll be okay. No, you're growing every single day. You're a different person every single day. And sometimes you may allow outside things to stop you from doing it. People say, don't do this, don't do that. So you stop yourself. But if you just allow yourself to grow to become that, then it will become a lot easier. But that is always very hard because it's laying in the back of your mind.
Yes.
Am I going too far? Am I doing too much?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, law firms in general, if you look at 100 law firms that exist in Australia, or 1,000 law firms, would you say that most law firms are actually owned and run by men?
I think so, but I looked at the stats. I think they said there was 70% or 60% of the new graduates are female.
Right.
Yeah. And yes, I worked in all the firms that are all run by men.
Yes.
All run by men, and they're a lot older and they're very stuck in their times and how they run things.
Yes.
And I'm 100% appreciate we are lawyers. We have to do the right thing. There's so much things that we have to adhere by being a lawyer, 100%.
Yes.
But there are certain things that you can do differently.
Yes.
And you just have to work out what it is. Like we're very strict in the way we, approve files, submit applications, very, very strict on that. But how we do it, using different systems, looking at ChatGPT in terms of not doing the work, but it's not so much, actually, yes, somewhat doing the work, but how you can utilize that into your firm to speed up processes.
Everything that entire discussion here that we're having today, entire discussion is really based you moving ahead with time and taking advantage of everything that is in front of you and you being the first one instead of the one that is left behind. So, traditionally, the way the law firms are run, it is, a lot of advisors that I have are potentially older lawyers that could be 50, 60 or 70 years old. And a lot of them wouldn't even know what Chat GPT is.
Yeah.
So with yourself, you're not going to see many law firms on TikTok, You're not going to see many of them being active on Instagram. You're not going to see many of them knowing what the hell is Chat GPT. You're already on it. And you're not going to see many law firms that are offering people to actually, hey, you know what? Everybody work from home today. That's it. So, I think that's why you are growing so fast, because you're constantly being first one to step in whatever is in today for us to generate more business, do the right thing by clients, and we grow.
Yeah, that's right.
So, fantastic. I think I want to do lots more of this with you in the future, because you're very inspiring, you're very young, you're a crazy go-getter, you're clearly risk taker because you run your own businesses, so you're not a lawyer, you're not a traditional lawyer, you're a lawyer with commercial business background as well, so you actually understand what the hell is happening in the business world too. And you're definitely going to be an inspiring person for many females out there to say, you know what, maybe a long time ago, running any kind of law firm was men's world. You know what, we are doing extremely well too, which is so amazing to see.
Thank you.
I think this sends a message. This conversation sends a lot of messages to people out there. One, first thing that comes to my mind, everything is possible.
Yes.
You don't have to be 50 years old partner in some firm to start your own business.
No.
You can be a 30 years old and say, you know what, I can do this. You're doing it. Two, which is really, big message to a lot of big law firms out there, that you can't just run your business traditionally.
No,
You really got to be so focused on moving ahead with times. Otherwise, you will be left behind. It's been great having you here.
Thank you so much. What an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And